One.
The manosphere attributes the rise in single motherhood to modern women. Some women blame men who are unfaithful and what they call bad providers. Others say it's due to government programs and mass incarceration. We've danced around this topic for the past year and kind of have had explosive discussion off screen. Tonight, we're going to hash it out for you all on camera once and for all and talk about what is the reason we have a rise in single motherhood. Joining us tonight, we also have special guest co-host Courtney Michelle, and we're bringing back the ladies, the regular ladies tonight, and then we also have Kendra Patterson joining us. So it's going to be explosive. We got a full house. It's coming up next. Enemy territory here. Hello. It's Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and let me introduce you to my co-hosts. We have with us Shelly E, Yana, T, and back with us tonight, we have special guest co-host, former pageant queen and pageant director, Kendra Patterson. And we have here for the first time, podcaster and public speaker, Courtney Michelle. How are you all tonight?
Good.
Hello.
I'm
Doing
good.
well.
Yes, excellent. So we have a full house tonight. So I'm going to get right into it. Join the conversation by leaving a comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. And don't just comment, subscribe. Subscribe to our social media so you always know when we post new content. You can also check us out on our website, brand new website for this show. It's www.popandpoliticslive.com. You can go here and for up-to-date information, also subscribe to our email list. I mean, this is where you will find us, or you'll find different. We're continuing to update this website, but eventually you'll find little blurbs about each of us, where we are as far as our issues that matter to us, and much more. So definitely check us out there. That's www.popandpoliticslive.com. Also, if you like independent media and want to support what we do, donate. Any amount is appreciated. We should have that flash across. I believe you can go to that popandpoliticslive.com, or that's also our Cash App. We certainly appreciate the support. Again, we are a necessary voice in news and entertainment. All right, ladies, let's set it off. So, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start out with the news and stories that matter to you guys most, and then we'll go into the main topic of the night, which is single motherhood. So I want to start out with you, Shelly. What's trending news have you been following this week that you want the audience to know, that they need to know about?
Balloons everywhere. So many balloons. Can we all share?
Oh, oh my God. All right. So I guess you're talking about the Chinese spy balloon, correct?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, I think everybody kind of knows what's going on there, but why do you feel like this is something that the audience needs to know?
I think it's important that we stay on this story, or at least for me, because I think it gives us a snapshot in time of the unsteadiness of our government and how we are so unstable. Mind you, coming from China, that China can just waltz into our area and, glide across our country and nothing happens. So I think it's important because I think it gives us a snapshot in time, and it really shows how unstable I think we are.
Yeah, I think everybody knows by now what happened as far as over the past week, we had a Chinese spy balloon drifting through the U.S. airspace over sensitive military bases. came to a dramatic conclusion on Saturday. A U.S. fighter jet shot the rogue balloon out of the sky over the coast of South Carolina. So I want to read a quote from Marco Rubio. He says, "What is unprecedented is a balloon flight that entered over Idaho and flew over Montana, over all these sensitive military bases, military installations, Air Force bases, that never has happened before. This is unprecedented."
Unprecedented.
Mhm.
And for me personally, it's even, I guess, a little bit more because as a veteran, as someone who has served during wartime on a war soil, and how much of a patriot I am, it's not just unnerving, it's a little scary, but it really makes me angry again, knowing all the people who have sacrificed and who love our country. I love my country, but I really see it going down the toilet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Kendra, you were in South Carolina. Did you see the balloon at all, or what was going on?
No, I am 4 hours inland, so I did not see it. But I did have a few friends that when they shot it down, they heard the boom.
Wow.
It was just off the coast of South Carolina, so I have a few friends in the Myrtle Beach area. They actually saw and heard all of the things, but unfortunately, I didn't hear or see anything because I'm extremely inland. But I think that the fact that it got all the way to South Carolina, there was nowhere else that we could have shot it down. Like, was there no other? It wasn't a cornfield. I mean, Montana ain't nothing there but land anyway. So I didn't understand why it took so long for them to, and why they have to do it. It's okay, I guess. I mean, it's not okay. But yeah, it was a little unnerving because, like, why y'all took so long?
I mean, what do you think? How do you think this makes us look across the world? As far as
across the world, we look weak. We look absolutely weak across the world. Okay, from Brittany Griner to all TikTok, we just look absolutely weak. We look unintelligent, and we look invadable. And the fact that it was 4 days that it was lingering, this balloon first, we have so much security, quote unquote, that nothing should be able to fly over here, period, let alone stay over here for 4 days. And I'm like, we look weak. When we shot it down, they threatened us like we were in the wrong.
Yeah.
So, we look like our country look like a weak man.
Oh, yeah. Yana, I want to get you in here. You had international, you travel international, you're from, Belarus. What do you think? Did you talk to any of your relatives or anyone to talk about
the balloon? I mean, not really. They kind of already been laughing for a long time. So this is just the last thing that, oh yeah, of course, it took such a long time. When I went to visit Belarus over the summer, people were just laughing at Joe Biden constantly. Like, they see all the gaffes, all the, like, him falling and him forgetting where he is. So it's been, it's all over the news, all over the world. And also, I just watched a video made by the Chinese saying there was like for them, it's a funny video. Like, it's an American, like a jet, fighter jet trying to shut down the balloon, and actually the balloon shuts down the jet. Like, the Chinese already made a video like that.
T, I want to get your thoughts on this as far as what do you see? Do you feel like they got some type of information? Are you uneasy about how long this balloon traveled across the country and how we were susceptible to threats, or who knows?
Yeah, I think we've been a laughingstock for a few years now, but as Courtney Michelle said, we look like we're easily like anybody can just come and invade us right now. I don't think we looked at as the strong power that we were, and I don't know, especially with the current administration, and even as I traveled abroad, people were surprised that President Trump actually made it to be the president. But I don't think that right now we're that superpower that we think we are, or that to them we're not that superpower.
Yeah,
But I mean, the fact that it actually came here for 4 days, are we?
right.
Mhm.
We'll continue to follow that story. I want to move along to you, T. What stories are you? What's your story that you're following this week that you feel we need to know about?
Y'all forced me to watch TV, so Grammys. The Grammys is what I actually watched the other day. There were a few highlights, but mostly the one that a lot of people that I know are talking about was Sam Smith's performance with the first transgender, whatever it is, winner for the Grammy, and that song Unruly, and how demonic or whatever it looked, and how they were portraying Satan and all these different sexual acts in the cages and everything. And it made me think of the protests, to be honest. It made me think that this is what the children are seeing. This is what we've come to as a country, that we're freely just doing anything on TV and saying anything on TV.
Yeah, I mean, the name of his performance, the song he sang was Unholy. It was him and as you mentioned, transgender woman, Kim Patras. I believe she's from the UK. This person is from the UK, and Kim transitioned. I think this person was the first to transition, the youngest person in UK to transition. I believe she broke some type of record like that, where she that happened, and so it was really gross. What did anyone else see it? What are your thoughts? Did you see it, Kendra?
No. I did. I tried to watch, but the way my ADHD is set up, I wasn't able to I heard about it.
Did anybody see it?
Yeah, I didn't watch the Grammys. I haven't watched the Grammys in a very long time because I don't know the people that I don't know the songs. I don't know the people, majority of them. But I saw that there was a lot of hoopla about the Sam Smith, and so unfortunately, I watched it. But it's demonic. The Grammys have been demonic for such a long time. When they had Madonna up there with Britney Spears and they little random nasty little kiss, and then Madonna, even back in the day, the Like a Virgin, and she came on there, and Nicki Minaj came on there dancing with a priest, and she was supposed to be the devil. And now you have this. It's just the continuation, the degradation, excuse me, right, of our not even just our country, but it's what they want our children to see.
Yeah.
They're putting it in songs, and then I took a look at the Sam Smith and the lyrics of it. It's about a man going to a shop, obviously probably trying to be with another man, being unholy. And it's a celebration of unholiness.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. We've come to a point now where before you had people who were non-religious, which is fine, and they were just non-religious. Now it seems like we're seeing Satanism and evil being looked upon as good.
It's a celebration.
Well, look, I didn't watch the Grammys either. Like Courtney, I haven't watched them in years. But this is the question I would have for my side. Why the hell are you watching it? What do you expect? I mean, why? I don't understand why people are up in a hoopla about it. This is what they've been doing for years. Why would we expect anything different? So
this is it. And
you don't expect it. Yeah.
Well, first of all, there has been a dramatic drop in the viewership of the Grammys. That's number one. So people are not watching it as they have in the past. But it is something that is a cultural mainstream. I mean, this is something the kids are watching, and it's so much so you had the president of the United States, FLOTUS. She was on there.
That don't say nothing. That's not saying much. That's not saying much. No, it's not.
It says a lot. It says a lot.
No, it says a lot of what they support. It says what they're supporting. That's what it's saying, but it doesn't say a lot. And then it has meaning.
Of the United States is co-signing this. It may not mean anything to us,
Right.
but it says something officially as a stance on policy. This says a lot. What were you saying, Yana?
Entertainment in general. So you were asking me how the world perceives America. So entertainment is something that personifies. It shows the culture of the country. So growing up, I grew up. I would say, I say in Russia because it was Belarus, Russia. It was both. I was in both countries. So for us, our entertainment, people would gather, around the TVs and watch, the singers and the performers. Is something that united people. So the same in any culture. People enjoy entertainment. They follow their stars and things like that. So by putting something like that on the national stage, on national TV, having politicians there, it's a message saying this is our culture.
Oh, I agree with you that it's a message. My point is that look at what the message actually is and who's co-signing. Oh, I agree with you. There's a message there, but what are they co-signing? We already know that their stand is how. What's her name? Jill Biden. She can't even coordinate a dress. Come on now. I mean, why are we giving her so much credence? She looked like she needs to be rolling in some flour
First
beds.
Lady of the United States.
I don't care. I told you before. No, I'm saying I told you before. I don't have celebrity sycophania. I don't. I do know the media. I do know it has a message.
Position. It has nothing to do with what you like personally. It's the position that she holds that's supposed to be.
I get you. I understand
First Lady of the United States.
And
like I said, she can't even coordinate a dress. So whatever.
I just want to add that this is Marxism. We talk about Marxism a lot. Marxism aims to destroy religion. So in the country of Russia, they literally blew up churches. They destroyed them. They looted them. They bombed them. So many, many beautiful churches were destroyed. So in this country, what they're trying to do, they realize they cannot physically, if they break the buildings, it may actually not destroy the religion itself. So they are destroying it from within. So we're having pastors that are talking about abortion, allowing abortion. There's pastors who, supporting same-sex relationships or inviting drag queens into their churches. And then you have something like this, where at national stage, they're literally saying that they're satanic and they're anti-God and unholy and all that. That is Marxism. It's destroying the culture from within.
I think that this is because a lot of countries look to America when it comes to culture and entertainment, those things. They look to America first, like we're the first to do certain things. And now it trickles down to other countries who may have even had a better morals and values as a collective. It's trickling down to where these countries can't even hold on to these morals.
And Putin has said that he's fighting Satanism in the West. He actually said that.
I want to go on to you. I want to start off with that. I want to go on to that because that leads us right into our next story. Let's talk about the story you're following this week, Yana.
So this week I came across some information that, by the way, it's February and it's almost a year anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where over 100,000 people have been either killed or injured. And you know about the money that has been sent there from America. So in the first 2 weeks of the conflict, Naftali Bennett, a Israeli politician, he worked out a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine to stop the conflict. One of the things that was supposed to happen was that Ukraine was supposed to basically would not pursue NATO membership. And immediately after this peace deal it was some Western nations, they found out about it and they blocked it. So NATO countries blocked it. And so it's infuriating to me that this conflict has been going on. So many people have died. And also citizens of Western countries, including the United States, were not allowed to even know about this because none of the Western media has reported on this peace negotiations.
Okay. I want to go to you, Shelley, because I know you and Yana have kind of gone back and forth over this Ukraine-Russian conflict. What are your thoughts on what she's saying? The U.S. blocked an agreement to end the war in Ukraine, basically, based off of what Israeli Prime Minister, the former
Former
Israeli
prime
Prime
minister.
Minister said.
Former prime, yeah. So what I would say to that is that there are other reports coming out that are downplaying that. And according to what I read, I think this was in the Business Insider, even the former prime minister himself has kind of walked back that story and said that there were some other parts to it. Now, having said that, again, there's been so much confusion, bloodshed, the war going on since almost a year, like Yana said, that I don't think any side is getting the full picture, whether it be the Russian news giving us information or even the Israeli news sources, even the US news sources. I think there's so much corruption going on. However, I am going to say it again. I still stand that I'm glad the Ukrainians are defending themselves.
Okay. All right. Well, we will continue to follow that story. It was definitely a good bit of news, and something to look into to see what
I mean, can I just say
Oh,
one last thing about that? I mean, the thing is that I see all these people, putting on Ukrainian flags and putting on their, Ukrainian flags in their Facebook profiles, and I know they care, but if they knew more about it, they would be better informed to make better decisions about what politicians to support, what policies to support, and more Ukrainians would be alive right now if we were better informed about this conflict.
All right.
Yeah, and many more would be alive if Putin never went into Russia at all, never went into Ukraine.
That's not true. Mm-mm.
So, well, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah,
again.
they still more would be alive then too.
We tackled that in the past. Again, another time, but definitely this is what we aim to do. We aim to, figure out what's the truth, what is going on, and the only way we can do that is to discuss it. So definitely we'll continue to look into this story, for certainly a very interesting story. I want to move on to the next news story of the night. Courtney, can you talk about what you want to discuss tonight?
Okay, so and this is going to play into it, I've been following the news story with Ron DeSantis in Florida and getting rid of the AP class for in high school, career theory for Black people. And I'm completely in support of Ron DeSantis. I think that there should be no queer theory and all this CRT in our schools. Me personally, that's just what I believe, because I know that in order to get to push your agenda, you have to get it through the children. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden there was a news story that I saw that played into that. And again, it's always focusing on our children. And it is the Proud Family. Now, right. I used to love the Proud Family. Used to watch
before you go into it, I think we have that Proud Family clip. Do we have that?
Roll that beautiful bean foot.
Yeah. Let me see here. We have that clip. I want to roll that before we go into it, so people can actually see what we're discussing. Okay. So go on. I'm sorry. Go on, Courtney. We're getting that clip, but I'm going.
Okay. Well, in the clip that go over, and it's got so many multiple millions of views, but again, it's a song that they were singing that was saying the country was built on slavery, and this country owes me a lot more than they are supposed to give, than they gave to me. They owe us a lot, and America hasn't atoned for what they did to us. And I'm like, this is a cartoon.
Well, let me ask you, because I'm not familiar with the Proud Family, but so it is a cartoon geared toward kids, or is it like Family Guy that's geared towards adults?
The Proud Family is really geared towards kids. So they're not on there cussing, and it's just weird. It's a kid, Kyla Pratt, if you remember who she is.
Right, yeah.
So it's geared towards kids. And so the Proud Family was something that I used to watch younger as a kid. I mean, it's been around for a very, very long time. And then I'm like, some of the stuff that the song's talking about, and we haven't atoned.
Right. I saw it.
About atonement. And it's just, No, and so it's getting a whole lot of backlash, and I think rightfully so. And then we are pushing agendas on our children and trying to mold them into thinking like what they're seeing on the Grammys is appropriate. We're pushing what were they trying to do with the satanic temple and wanting to
Right.
on our children, and
Yeah.
it's a continuation, but in order to get that through they have to do it to the children.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I'm
they're
just fed up, and I know this is going to maybe go into what we're talking about single mothers and things like that, is that when you don't have a covering, and if you don't have a husband or the father to cover, your children are so susceptible to so much.
I think we have it here.
And they put it in the cartoons now. So you have, as parents, watch these cartoons.
Here it is. Here.
It's go down. You're on Fox. Go down a little bit.
Built this country, and we
See here.
the descendants of slaves in America have earned reparations for their suffering and continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and white supremacy that America was founded with and still has not atoned for.
Yeah, there you go. Ridiculous. You know.
Okay, so I mean, I want to talk, Kendra. Do you think this is appropriate? I want to get your thoughts on this, Kendra.
Do I think it's appropriate for children? No. But do I think that there's validity in what they're saying to spark a conversation among adults? I do. But I don't think that a 7 or 8 year old would understand what they're saying. But as an adult, I want to say that the Proud Family is geared towards children, but I think the reboot of it is more for adults versus the children, even though it's on Disney Plus. But
it's on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah. It's geared towards
it's on
Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. So I think
maybe more family oriented than children or adults, like for all ages.
Right. I think it's one of those things. For me, it's something that if you watch it with your children, then it's a great space to have conversation.
So how would you make a conversation about that topic there, that clip? What would you say to your child who just sat and watched that?
I mean, I think that
appropriate conversation there.
I mean, the thing about it is, to be Black in this country, there are, if we talk about reparations, Black people really ain't got none, but if we look at Jewish people, they done received their just due time and time again. So I think that
excuse me, the Jewish people who received the reparations were the actual descendants of people.
I understand, but the majority of Black people are descendants of slaves. If you trace it, I can say
it's not exactly like that. So the Holocaust happened.
I can say that I'm a descendant of a slave because my just 2 greats was literally the first free person in my family. So I can say that I am a direct descendant of slavery. Now, what I'm trying to say is,
but this is taught to every Black person who is descendant or not descendant.
It's not being taught. It's family tree. Like, it's the fact
that perpetual victimhood mentality is taught to every Black person.
My father didn't go to school with white people until he was in high school. That is my family history. That's not something that was taught. That's something that my parents and my grandparents lived.
But let me ask you, what are you saying though? Okay, what do you?
I think that. I don't think the talking to children about reparations per se, they ain't gonna get it. I think that the episode was geared more towards adults. Now, having conversations about being Black in our country, those is a conversation starter. I mean, we have to. If you are Black in this country, you have to have those conversations of what it means and what it reflects. You can't just send your children.
I'm
not saying that it should be, we
no. What does it mean?
We got to go down to the people.
I want to get specific because a lot of times what we do is we talk in generalization and it doesn't mean anything. So what does it mean to you to be Black in this country?
To me, to be black in this country is to be able to be my authentic self. I don't feel like I should have to enter into any room and to have to code switch. I don't feel like I should have to, and that's not being is not saying that
code switch. Where you going when you got a code switch?
Baby, I live in the South. I grew up and I was one of 7 black
Kendra, you're lighter than I am. You're lighter than I am, and I don't code switch. And I don't code switch.
Well, what I'm saying, I am very much lighter than you.
So I mean, I don't have the quote unquote the ability to where you would be considered passing. I don't have that.
It has nothing to do with complexion.
No, my point is that historically she would be able to pass, and I wouldn't.
But here's
historically, she would be able to pass because her skin color. I don't do that when I'm black.
If it's a whole bunch of us, yeah, I might pass. But when I'm one of 7, baby, it don't matter. As soon as they see the little piece of crinkle in my hair, I'm black.
What specific situation have you had to code switch? Whatever
I grew up in a city where I went to school with 7 other black people. When I was in the 3rd grade, they had a meeting with my parents and said that because I was outspoken, that not because I had any educational issues, they wanted to put me on Ritalin. My parents took me out of the school, put me in a Christian school where I was the only black person. And my brother was, I think we were the only 2 black people.
So how did you code switch?
Because you have to learn that when you are in it, when I grew, I went to church. I grew up in black church. So you grow up and you learn, the talking, that you carry yourself in a way. But when you're around people who do not look like you, and a lot of times, especially in the South, and I done been the N-word, little girl, you peopled, all the things, and I'm passable.
Well, when I was overseas, isn't that normally called when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do?
Because when I have to do as the Romans, when I'm up,
my point is that when you're in different environments, the culture.
One second, let her finish. What are you saying, Shelly?
I said the point I'm making is that when we're in different environments, doesn't the culture affect us? And that way you have to kind of adapt to that culture to some degree.
But why should we have to?
Because let me say this.
There's a difference into being rude. Like I shouldn't enter in any space and be rude. Manners and etiquette is one thing.
You said that you were taken out of the school because you were opinionated. That had nothing to do with code switching.
No, what I'm saying
it had nothing to do with you not being your authentic self.
You grow up in a space where no one looks like you. I did not have a black teacher until I went to an HBCU. When you guys grow up in spaces where in predominantly black spaces, you guys have people that you can identify with and aspire to. When
I don't want to, not all of them.
Not all, but there's
I have a question, Kendra.
There's only one. You got what's the
question? 1 second. Courtney had something. I don't want to get you in, Yana. What were you saying?
Well, I still don't think, Kendra, that you're answering the question on what it means for you to be black in America. I'm from the South as well. Right. I grew up in rural South where Confederate flags are just a flying. So I understand not being the only black girl in a situation. However, what the culture is, there's a business culture that you adhere to. That means your dialect, it's not talking ghetto. Because as a business owner, if you come to my place and want to get employed, talking about what's up, my girl, I'm not hiring you. You can talk that when you get home around your people. But this is a place of business. How you look matters. There's business etiquette on how you look.
I understand that, but you got to realize that coming from it, we had to have a crown act because I can't wear because natural hair is seen as ghetto or locks is seen as unprofessional. So me saying exactly, but the thing about it is how many times prior to it being a culture making it okay. Back 30 years ago, if I would have showed up with locks, I wouldn't be hired.
I agree there.
And growing up in that space, we don't have the freedom of I don't even want to say self-expression, but it's self-expression. To say that my locks or if I showed up with my natural hair is unprofessional because you don't understand it or it doesn't look the way when it's what God gave me and grew out of my head, that's wrong. So what I got to do, we got to go and perm my hair.
No. Let me jump in there. Okay,
I've never had a perm, and I've had
I ain't had
many
one in my 8
professionals.
years.
So one thing I would like to say is, first of all, yes, there are situations and areas and places that do discriminate, in all races. We're not saying there's no racism is not there anymore, and again, now versus I'd say 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we've come a long way.
Mm-hmm.
But today, you can go and really you should. Some of these natural hairstyles, y'all look a mess. Okay, some of these people with the dreads, they look a mess. Okay, but and they were the ones that made it bad for the rest of us, like me, Shelly, and you. People are going in looking a mess. Where I don't care how kinky your hair is,
right? No,
it look right.
And my thing is, but what I'm talking about, like you said, we've come a long way in 20, 30 years. So what I'm saying is my perspective growing up, I grew up when it wasn't acceptable.
But proud,
so now sitting here now as a
proud boys, what is it? Proud
family. No, I think that we have to address the past.
What in 2022 or 2023 are you saying where you have to
I'm saying that the conversation that is had from that is this is where we came from and this is where you guys are. This is where we've grown to. That's where the conversation when watching it can say I said, it's a conversation.
That Proud Family episode was pushing this narrative that we all oppressed. We got issues today. It wasn't taught. I mean,
we do still have some issues today, but at the end of the day, we can't acknowledge where we got to start where we started from, and that's not saying that it's anybody's fault.
How long we gonna keep doing that?
But I'm saying history is history, and history is bound to repeat itself if you don't address the history. So
we've already addressed
the history
all
the time. Trust me, I have come to this country. I came here as a teenager. You think I have not learned about slavery and oppression of Black people? I mean, I didn't even grow up here. And of course I know about it. This is not something that is being suppressed. And right now I work with kids. I work with kids. Most of the kids that I don't even have white kids that I tutor. All the kids that I tutor are minority kids. And trust me, none of them really, I mean, they know about this, but they don't need to know over and over that they, their ancestors were oppressed. And, they already know, they've learned it. But I see how these public schools are constantly reminding them of the oppression in the past and current. They're saying that there's current oppression. And also from an immigrant perspective, I have students that are from Africa, the immigrants from Africa. They came here to succeed. They're not here to, worry about what happened and the injustices. Injustices have happened in every country. And for example, I have a story. There was a lady, an African lady, who had a choice to pick from her job which holiday she didn't, she basically had to choose which one she wasn't going to take because there was like a limited number of holidays they could keep. And she picked she said Juneteenth. She said she didn't, she was like, I'll work on that day. I don't, it's not my holiday. And she got yelled at by her co-workers saying that, how dare you say that? We have been oppressed. And she came home like, why are they attacking me? This African lady that, it's like, I didn't do anything. Like, so it's like this kind of mentality that is constantly that, feeling that oppression is happening. Children. Yeah. And pushing it on the children. The children need to feel that they can do anything, that they can succeed if they work hard, if they put themselves together, however they want to do their hair, make it look nice, dress nice, start a business, get a job. That's what they need to be taught, not this negative agenda that is actually oppressing their energy. Like if you speak
Yes.
from like an energetic perspective,
It takes
that
away
does
from their
not
freedom.
uplift the person's spirit. That suppresses the person's spirit.
I didn't even teach my children before they started school. I didn't even teach them anything about slavery or the experience that some Black Americans had here. I taught them that we were Africans, we were king and queens, we had money, we bought Mensa Musa, like all of these different people who were actually known for a better thing than just slavery. Like we just so happened to come through that, but we're not slaves now. We're not oppressed now.
Yeah,
Martin
and
Luther King was like,
overcoming the struggles. That's what needs to be taught. Every culture had struggles that had been overcome, and that can be taught. Absolutely.
I agree with you, T, as far as creating and teaching about who we were prior to slavery. But my thing to that is, when is the last time, when it comes to education, that the school has told you anything about Massa Musa? I ain't never heard. If
that's
you didn't,
why we
if
don't
you
want
didn't
critical
learn
race
it,
theory
if you didn't
in the
learn it,
schools. That's why we don't want critical race theory in the schools. Don't teach them anything. Don't teach them about slavery. Don't teach them about the queer. What did you say, Courtney? The queer
theory.
Queer theory. Like, why do we need to know about that?
Well, let me move. I want to move on because we're going along the same lines. This is actually along the same lines of Kendra's story this week. Take a look at this clip.
You're a Black girl. You know your roots. It's February.
Your mom is never letting anyone in.
You're nothing but a slave. And after this, you're doing my laundry.
The way she just takes this shit, bro.
I'm black and I'm proud.
My mom just texted me.
What did she say?
So Kendra, I want to get your thoughts. So, can you just talk about why you thought that was important for us to discuss this week?
Well, it is Black History Month, and the fact that you have Caucasian people that are literally spraying themselves and using racial impotence and and then I think for me the part was that they go to a private Catholic school, and when the school was made aware of it, they didn't take any action or really condemn it really. And I think that's really sad. I think that for as much as we say we've come so far, when we see videos like that of teenagers who are doing things like that, we clearly haven't gone far enough. And it shows that clearly there is a segment of our population who still do not value the humanity of Black people. Because if you value the humanity of Black people, things like that would not happen.
I want to get response. I want to get your response, Shelly.
Okay. So I saw that clip, and let me say this. I think it was racism, not the way that is reported mostly in the media, right? The popular way. What I think it is I think it is how white people see Black people, how we see ourselves. They're mocking how we see ourselves. So they're making fun, a parody of us, and how we always claiming to be victim. And of course, it's February and Black History Month. So this is their version acting out what they see us doing. It's stupid. It's foolish, and I don't think their school should have done anything. They were at home. They were not on school property, and it was not during the school day, as far as I could tell. But they were at home. If anybody did anything, maybe their parents should have. But again, this is more of an indictment on us than it is those foolish teenage girls.
I want to get your thoughts, T. Do you feel like this is an indictment on us, or you think that was racist?
I think it was teenagers being teenagers. Of course it had something to do with race, because I agree with Shelly, it's them mocking us or mocking how we see ourselves, or mocking even what they learned in critical race theory in schools about slaves. How about that?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this, Courtney? if you saw that, how does that make you feel, and do you think
Well,
it's significant?
I mean, I felt no ways because Black people, we do it to white folks too. Dave Chappelle, one of the best stuff that he's done, arguably, is when he's in whiteface and he's acting like a white man. So, is anything gonna happen to Dave Chappelle when he does it? No, because it's comedy. These girls. Here's the thing: if our culture would chill out on being so emotionally driven off of everything hurts our damn feelings. And again, like I said, with America, how we look weak as far as a country to others, Black people look weak in front of others because our feelings are always hurt. I ain't never been around so many woe is me Negroes in my life. So
And
what? Someone don't like you. So
it's
what?
getting
Someone
even worse.
of you. So
It's
the
getting,
hell what?
it's getting worse.
I
Like,
don't think it's a
It's
woe is
and
me
the more
situation.
money that Black people have, I was about to say something. The more money that people have, the worse we get. Like we're I don't
Yana, I want
understand
to
it.
bring you in. I want to bring you in, Yana, because you have a very good perspective. Because again, you came here as an immigrant. Were you made fun of? I mean, when you came here, did you have any issues on that?
Well, I wouldn't say made fun of. I mean, I lived in New York City. There were lots of immigrants to begin with. I had a couple interesting situations. There was one, I guess Black people or I guess non-white people would not consider me white because I was an immigrant. And white people would also not consider me white. So yeah, that was an interesting situation there. But not really made fun of. Um, about this video, I mean, it's really unfortunate. I mean, I feel bad for the girl that is being bullied, obviously, and she doesn't look like she wanted this to happen. And it's unfortunate that teenagers can be so cruel and so crude. And thinking back to when I was a teenager, these kind of things happen. Teenagers, they're very stupid. They say all kinds of things. They haven't even formed a personality at this point. So they're picking up, all these different messages from media, from wherever, and then they're acting it out. This video made me think of a situation in 2017 when some Black teenagers brutally beat up a white boy who was special needs, and they were saying to him, like, they were forcing him to say, like, they forced him against the wall and said, you need to say I love Black people, and he didn't even know what the heck was going on. So it's unfortunate that these things are happening, and the more that we perpetuate this like racial divide and anger between races, I think kids, they act out what they see.
Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, so what? So what they did it? I mean, to me, what racism was a big deal back in the day because we did not have the control, we did not have the backup of the legal system when racist things occurred. That's when you could say, in my opinion, there was systemic racism because the laws and the policies and the rules within the United States did not back up or protect us from racism, from things like that. But now, if you are discriminated against, if someone denies you employment because of your race, because of your gender, because of your sex, you can get into trouble. I mean, these things occur. We are never going to extinguish racism. I mean, these stupid girls, they are nothing to me. They're below me. I don't, they do nothing for me. I don't care. You can have these videos. People can be racist as the day is long. I'm sure some people that work for me are racist. You have no control of me. I don't care because I know who I am. So to me, it's like when people get hung up on racism, on discrimination, they begin to they could perpetuate this victimhood. We are not victims. I'm sure many of us on the call here are bosses in our life. What is a racist going to do to me? Nothing. Nothing.
We're victims of our own victimhood.
That's what I said. Exactly. That's why they're mocking us.
Talk about what she say? What I keep forgetting the name of the word. What Kendra said as far as going into rooms and having to
Code switching.
Code switching for what? When I walk in a room, all eyes are on me.
What does that mean, by the way?
That,
what?
And I agree with that, KJ. Now,
No way.
But what does that mean? What is code switching?
Let me tell you one other thing, because it's so funny when people, especially Democrats and liberals, they talk about Black Republicans. Do you understand the respect we get from white Republicans? When a Black conservative walks into a room, white Republicans, I sat one day and watched these white women literally claw over what's our girl?
Candace.
Kim
Clayton.
Oh, Kim Clayton.
Are you crazy? It comes from within.
Exactly.
Hold your head up high. We are not shaming for nobody. I certainly am not. And no one on this call should.
I agree with that.
I'm the same from the streets, from the hood to the boardroom. You're gonna get through here.
I have never gotten nor feel the need to get validation from a white person, whether for victim mentality, reparations, whatever. My identity does not come from what white people think of me. I don't give a damn what they think of me. As a matter of fact, I don't give a damn what 99% of the people that don't care about me think about me. They don't do anything. Like my mother was saying, their shit stinks too.
Yes,
I agree with that. My perspective and my point is, we're here now, and we are the evolution of our parents and our grandparents. Like I said, as the granddaughter of someone who grew up during segregation and growing up in the Deep South, where Confederate flags fly, their perspective on how you act is very different than what ours is now. We've evolved to this place. But when you sit back and you talk to your elders, because the wisdom of the elders, they still have that mindset and mentality that code switching is still a thing for them. My grandmother will be 80 this year.
What you got a code switch for?
I have a question.
The one you get at the house playing cards is not going to be the one that you get when she's around people who are non-melanated, and she's like me, her same color. But that's just how she grew up, because she grew up in a space where things were segregated. She's never, and they still have that mindset. We have the beauty
and the mindset. What is she, cowering or? I
don't want to say cowering, but my brother tried to explain the Republican and Democratic system to her, and let's just say that we had to change the subject because we was going nowhere fast.
Let's explain. Let's talk about code switching, because I know it was asked, what is code switching? So it's the idea. Code switching is I can't be, or I can't sound or look like my authentic self. In order for me to be able to succeed or get a business, I have to switch up who I am and sound different. So instead of me going to the store and be like, "Hi, I'm Courtney," it's, "Oh my God, I'm Courtney. I'm here." And then when I get back home, all right, now I'm done.
All right, I'm back. Right. And I think that happens more in the South
but immigrants have to do that like 1,000 times more.
That's called assimilation at another part of the spectrum is called assimilation.
Right. I mean, in order to succeed, every immigrant, needs to, I cannot sound fully American ever. I'm not even able to do that because I didn't grow up here. I cannot change my accent. So I need to deal with the fact that this is how I sound.
Right.
So,
and now
that doesn't make me less than, or
no.
I don't
and
need to
saying
feel.
that, but what we're saying is when you grow
they
up,
can see what we look like.
In the Deep South, when you grow up in the deeper South, we were it was part of who you. It's how things were done.
My grandmother didn't have to do that.
I have
But
a
she was
final
a single
point.
mother.
I have a final point.
Yeah, final point.
Kendra, for the most part. Look, our ancestors, God rest their souls, they fought. They fought the civil rights. They fought for freedom. I don't think for 1 minute that they would be too happy. They might be turning in their graves if they knew that they had their descendants sitting here looking to them and still saying we're in slavery when they fought and lived and died to make sure that we were not. How ungrateful, not only short-sighted, but how ungrateful and useless is us to keep looking back to say that we're still slaves when they literally died to free us.
I don't think anybody is saying that we're still slaves. I think that it's a part of
you. You sound like a slave, Kendra.
I don't think I said no. I don't think I sound like a slave. Like I said, we grew up in a
yes,
very.
You do. You sound like a slave. That's why you have to code switch, because you sound like a slave, talking about master this and master that.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that as a 34-year-old Kendra, that's what I do now. What I'm saying is, growing up, that is what we were taught. But my dad grew up in segregation. Hello. So,
but you didn't. You didn't.
No, I
didn't.
Well, who taught me though?
But you did not. You are free. We are free. You are free. We are free.
You gotta go. We gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Let me say this, Kendra, because I understand what you're saying, but the thing is, we are free, and we are not living like our ancestors did, and they paved the way for us to be here, and it's incumbent upon us that we continue the progression of us instead of the regression, and continuously teaching about the woe is me, continuously telling our children that they are oppressed when they are not. That's just really scary. I know that you're not. But again, going back to the story with the Proud family and all this, but the continuation of still talking about and ingraining in our children that they are oppressed when they are not is not progressing us. It's not getting us anywhere. And we need to move to the next step. And the next step is understanding we got that part. Now what? Now what?
So we
can't seem to figure out to talk and to do the now what. We still talking about the what happened to us then.
Right. All right. We have to move on to the actual topic of tonight, which is single motherhood. So take a look at this clip. We're going to start off the night with this.
Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. 1. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. It's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down, because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Timothy McSeed held his last steady job 2.5 years ago. He's been arrested several times on robbery and drug charges. He was brought up in Newark by his mother, who was 16 when Timothy was born. His father has another family in another city. Timothy does not support any of his children. How many children do you have? 6. He fathered those 6 children by 4 women. He also had 2 more children by 2 other women, but one died in infancy and the other was aborted. Does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids? Yes. How do they make it? Where do they get the money?
Well, the majority of them, the mothers on welfare, and welfare gives them the stipend for the month. So what I'm not doing, the government does.
What would happen if the government didn't?
It'd be a big disaster, I guess, because you can't give something that you don't have. In order to give, you got to have for yourself.
You see, people out there watching are going to say, why didn't he think about that before he brought 6 kids into the world?
Well, mother had a choice. She could have had an abortion, or she could have kept the child. She decided the way that she wanted to have the child, so Therefore, I guess it's not sweating her. I mean, it's not bothering.
You think it's her fault if she gets pregnant?
Well,
I mean, you fucked her.
Well, maybe not.
All right. So lots to unpack in that clip.
Ooh, that was deep.
First, I want to start off with you, Shelley. What do you believe is the main cause for the rise of single motherhood? And then I want you to respond to what he said in that clip.
Okay, so the main cause is 1 + 1 = 3. Okay, that's just the basics. But what more importantly is that at least since the 60s, it has been elevated, but it's staying steady at that elevated. I think single mothers or single parents in particular are going to be the norm. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to change much in the near future. Now, back to what he said. Okay, first of all, he's blaming everything on a woman. It takes two. Yes, a woman gets pregnant. Women still get pregnant, not men. But she gets pregnant, and he had to put his penis to inseminate her. That's it. This takes two. All of this deflecting and blaming one or the other, it gets us nowhere. And guess what? In the interim, there are still innocent children that are not living with both of their parents.
T, I want to bring you in. The interviewer asked him, does it make you feel bad that you can't support your kids? And he said the government is there. What's your response to that? That was one of the responses I had on my Facebook page when I asked this question: what is causing the rise in single motherhood? People said the government. What are your thoughts?
I think initially, yes, the government and welfare programs, you couldn't have a man in the house, so they took him out, whatever. But now it's just a lazy excuse. People are lazy, and the effect of that is that it's made men lazy. Well, some men, because I don't know any deadbeat parents or deadbeat dads, but it's made some men lazy to where they feel like they don't have to do it. They can just go and lay their seed wherever they want. It's really about sex. It's not about the responsibility of procreating with someone responsibly and intentionally. You have sex and you go, oops, I got pregnant, whatever. So this isn't, society is what it is. And the girl said that you can have a house, the father doesn't need to be in the house or whatever, but she didn't have a father in the house. So she wouldn't know how important it is for a father to be in the house. And here we go with that cycle again, because now we have these single mothers raising men and raising these girls to think that it's okay. And it's not.
Yeah, I want to get you in here, Kendra. Your thoughts on that video. What do you believe is the number one reason why we have a rise in single motherhood?
I was raised in a 2-parent household, so I can't relate to what that looks like or what it entails. My parents will be married 35 years in March, and they are still together and still love each other. I will say that I think that where it started, I think, like they said, when you remove the father because you got to get government assistance, and I think everything else has been the fruit from that seed. At this point, though, I think that we have enough intellect to be able to root that out if we so choose. But I think that what has happened is that there is a subset of women that have put the S on their chest and said, I'm gonna just do it all on my own because I don't want to have a partner. And I think that has discounted the importance of the male figure in the home. And I think that's sad. And like you said, the only people that are really being hurt in this is the children. But the girl said, I didn't have no daddy, so she wouldn't know what the importance of having a father in the home would be because she never experienced that.
Mm-hmm. I want to bring you in here, Yana, because Kendra brought up a good point. But according to Pew Research, they said that for some educated upper middle class women, having children without a father is obviously a conscious choice. However, these ladies make up a small minority of the total sum of single moms. So, what's going on here?
Well, yeah, single moms are usually the ones that were not married to the fathers. It's not like they were married and then the marriage fell apart, and it's usually not the case. Usually it's someone who did not, they didn't go through the proper order of things. They had sex with somebody before marriage and they felt pregnant. And a lot of times these women are not wealthy. And so they end up living on government assistance. And so just by mechanics of it, it's the women's fault. I mean, majority of the time, a woman gets pregnant because she willingly has sex with somebody. So it's obvious. I mean, I can't. It's just logically they are at fault, and it's there's nothing else I can say about that. And then they carry the responsibility, and then the um the men, like this guy said, yeah, they were raised in a situation, maybe they were not raised to be strong father figures, so he doesn't even know how to be a father, and he thinks his kids are okay living on government assistance. So yeah, it's just an unfortunate cycle.
And then you have
you in here, Courtney. You know, what do you agree with Yana that it's primarily the women's fault of this rise in single motherhood?
I can say this because I'm a single mother. I have a child that is 7 and I'm not with her dad. We do joint custody, so he has her half the week and I have her half the week. However, I had control over what got in my body.
There you go, Courtney.
I mean, and I understand that. I also know that what I have between my legs has a lot of control over men.
Yes, that's what I'm talking
about. I can't. So I had control over that. And I know whatever I had in between my legs had a whole lot more control than that man and his willpower. And women know that. Women use that to get men stuck. They think the way that they can keep a man is by getting pregnant. So, but that video, it was sad to see. I don't think that's the majority of single mothers. I think majority of moms don't want to do this You know what? I don't know if I believe that. Let me backtrack. Because I'm speaking for myself, which is anecdotal, but do I believe that I think majority of mothers probably think that are single that they could do it by themselves. And then they can raise a holistic child by just being mama and the daddy. That's absolutely false. It's absolutely false.
Yeah,
And
but the thing is that I'm sorry, that mindset has only come about in the last maybe 2 generations or so. It was not always the case. Most women, at least from the time humans were on the earth, knew and believed that they needed a man, a husband, a father to help raise their children. That warping of the mind is a totally different mindset, and it largely came about, for the most part, in the 60s or so.
Well, see, I don't even think it was in the 60s. In the 60s, and just talking about really our community, we had majority of us that were us as Black folks. There was 80% really of people that were married with children. So I actually think it kind of changed around the 80s.
No, the 80s is when you started seeing the babies coming, but the mindset started around the 60s. So the babies were growing up and they were being born in the 70s and 80s. That's what I mean.
I can see that. And that was the start of feminism.
Right.
It was the start of feminism. And it was the start of when, white women in America wanted to be equal to men. And I think feminism started off as, I'm going to be pro-choice and I want the same rights. If I choose to do this as a man, I want to, which granted, okay, I get it. But then it evolved into now I'm going to be like a man. And now I'm actually better than men and I should have more privileges and I should be treated special than a man. So I think that idea has evolved. And if I think I'm better than you, then I don't need you.
And I want to point out something.
I could be like a man, then why would I need a man? And so everything that we are doing starting of that feminism, I think, is just push men out. And now it's as if we don't need them.
Imagine laying down.
Well, what do you mean? What do you mean by push them out?
I think that we have, as a society, by calling masculinity toxic.
Mhm.
And to be a real man means there's something wrong with you. And we want to feminize men now. And we want to make sure they got a little extra estrogen in their spirit. And any man, true blood, I like football, beer, I'm cutting the grass, baby, make me a sandwich type of man, is looked at as toxic.
Let me ask you all
It's
this.
really
though, because
patriarchy, though. It's
you have an
patriarchy that they're
idea.
attacking.
I want to ask you guys your opinion on this, though, because what do we say to people, or the idea that, you know, you have this notion that men lead. And then, so if men are leading, they're supposed to be the leaders. Then why would they leave? As we saw in this video, why would the man go ahead and just give up his family, 6 kids he had, and not fight for the children, not marry the mother? You know, why are we seeing that happen? Why are we seeing less proposals, less marriage?
He wouldn't be a good example of this what I'm about to say, but most of the time it's because they can't deal with the women. It's and we've said this, I've said this before on the show, it's the women who they are leaving, not the children.
Are you making an excuse, though?
No.
Are you excusing bad behavior?
Yeah.
Bad behavior from the women. I'm excusing the toxic. I'm excusing the toxic situation. Hold on. I don't care about that. The toxic environment that women create for these men to be fathers, because they don't want them. They don't want the woman. So the environment that they're creating to not be fathers. Oh, I'm gonna keep your child away from me if you don't give me money. Or who that other women you got over there? Oh, you ain't gonna see your baby because he didn't choose you.
Shelly, I want to get you.
Yeah, I know we've had this conversation before, and T, I understand.
And I said the same thing.
No, and I know that there are some toxic, or whatever the word is, bitchy women. I do know that. But you will never get me to say or agree that when a man leaves a woman with a child, he's leaving the woman, not the child. That's no, because that child still has a sense of abandonment, and that child still does not have a father. And I have been asking in recent years, I would say, well, if you think you're not strong enough to deal with this woman, how do you think a defenseless baby is? Why would you leave a defenseless baby to all of this toxicity? At least if you're around, it's only going to be 50%, not 100% of it. And I mean,
I didn't say an abusive woman. She's not abusive or neglectful to her child. It's a different relationship.
No,
she has a different relationship with her children than she does that man.
You are a grown man, and if you can't deal with her, how do you think an innocent, defenseless child is going to? You need to be there.
That's apples and oranges.
You need to be there, a part of it. That's what I say now.
Apples and oranges. That has nothing to do with how she treats her child. Has nothing to do with how she treats the man.
I'm taking that talking point, Shelly.
Here's my perspective. Mm-hmm. Any man that wants to be a part of their child's life, there is not anything or anyone that will keep him from being able to do that.
All right, come on now.
So it's all excuses.
The court system. That's one thing that's keeping them from it.
Because here's the thing. If you really want to be there, excuse me, Mr. Judge, I know what she got going on over there, whatever the case may be. But little Johnny is 50% mine. I don't know if y'all need some documentation or whatever and whatnot. But what y'all not gonna do is keep me from little Johnny.
That sounds good. If
fathers wanted to be fathers, they would show up and fight for their children. And part of the problem is that men are not getting in the ring to say, listen, I don't want to be with you, but little Janie, he coming with me 50% of the time. I don't know if it's going to be Monday to Wednesday, Wednesday to Friday. You get 1 week. I don't know what we doing, but we going to do something because I'm going to be a father. The issue with single mothers is you ain't got to be with the mama. Apparently the mama had something that you wanted because you done created a whole child. And whatever you had and whatever was good for them 3 to 5 minutes, you need to think on for 18 years. That's all I'm saying.
Kendra, let me ask you a question because you stated that it's the why. Why is it that men, how you see it, aren't fighting for them?
Because they get restless. They get restless after they have to go through the court system.
The way the court system is set up.
The court system is set up to favor women. But I will say,
I'm not even talking about that. let's even go back to divorce. And this is, you can check the data. Data shows that most men don't fight for their kids. It's not that these judges are automatically siding with the women. The men are not even putting up a defense. That's number one. Number two, yes, we do see that the court system is biased towards women. We do see that. But this is, I mean, even if they're giving custody to the women, and nowadays they're giving more joint custody, they are doing that more often. But it's the women that are fighting for this stuff, and the data supports it.
But I think that goes when it all makes total sense if you look and when we talk about CRT and how we're teaching our children that they're oppressed, where you're telling men or telling them it's favorable for women. So why would they want to fight if they already feel like they're going to fail? Well, so they don't have a fight to put up. They already thinking they're going to be defeated.
That's weak. That's a weak
mind. But is it not true?
It's a weak mind.
But it's a mind state. But here's my thing. It's a mind state. If I'm being told in order for me to see my kids, I'm going to have to fight, I probably won't get it, because what the stats say is that 90% of the children go with the mom. I'm going to have to be spending, they quoted 30 to
Courtney, most women don't leave. We don't leave.
What'd you say?
But most women don't leave their children. Most women don't. So we get those same messages in the same culture. Right. But we don't leave.
But see, that's how you keep the cycle going. So we can't say, well, this is why we don't want to teach this to our children, because it's going to keep them oppressed, but then don't think it doesn't work in this end as well, too. Mm-hmm. It all goes into saying we're perpetuating this, but this is how we're living. Okay. Women think, oh, I'm going to get the child. I'm going to put you on child support. The men think, oh, bitch, I'm going to be on child support. We're conditioned to do that. There's
not only conditioned, but there are many cases where it would make the man, I mean, in reality, I know you, Kendra, you're like, oh, this and that. But in reality, these court systems, these judges or whomever it is, they're not favoring the men. If men were to go and fight, they're going to lose, spend all this money and lose. And then it's happened so many times that as soon as the mother says, oh, I'm going to put you on child support, or I'm going to take you to court or whatever, of course, they have PTSD, even though it was something they never went through, from what they've heard of the circumstances that happen in court. They're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I can't do that. I can't fight. But I know my cousin spent 3 years fighting in court to have joint custody for his twins. 3 years.
And I bet he still probably got to pay child support in joint custody.
He still has to pay child support in joint custody.
You say what?
He still has to pay.
Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that?
He still has to pay. What's wrong with that?
What is wrong with paying child support?
No, wait a minute. If they with this,
wait a minute. Wait, that's not what.
Why I got to pay you to be at their house if they at my house and you're not paying me to pay my water?
This is an example of what I'm talking about.
The thing is, when you get joint custody for men, and this is what I had to go through with my situation, joint custody, but it's still okay. I can still get child support. I can still get child support, even though we are in a 50-50 situation. Again, men are like, what the hell?
It depends on who makes more money.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
That's what I'm saying. I have a situation. My good friend is a doctor. My good friend is a doctor. They got 50-50 split, and she has to pay child support. She makes more money than her ex-husband. She has to pay, and she had to pay alimony. But I mean, that don't make sense. So help me.
It normally goes by the money, but can I say that something Courtney said? You mentioned feminism, and the earlier segment we were talking about, these ideas of oppression, and it just dawned on me that I may not be the first person who said this, but it just dawned on me that just like with the feminist, radical feminism, I'll call it, because there's different stages of feminism. The radical feminism, Black people, we took on that image of what you were talking about, white people fighting for all of these rights. Again, we got our identity from what white people were doing, and we thought that was what we were supposed to do.
When I tell you everything comes full circle, Everything comes full circle. It's the code switching. Well, now you want to be like somebody else. And here's the thing that I wish people would know, especially people that look like me. Quit trying to be something that you're not. Be who you are authentically. And you can realize the past, but then you got to move forward. And every other culture understands progressive and moving forward except us. Every culture loves their culture and respects and have a reverence for us, but except us. We like to degrade it. We like to look a ass fool. And then we think success is looking like a whole other culture. Quit trying to get the approval. If they don't like you because you Black, screw them. Go on about your business.
Yeah.
I don't like you either.
We can't get to that because what progression looks like for us to keep some type of tradition. That means mama and daddy got to be in the home.
So that's what I was going to add is looking at this video, this man, he's a weak man. I mean, obviously. And and of course, so now they mentioned, okay, so he's got a woman that allowed multiple women that allowed him to impregnate themselves. Then he mentioned abortion. So that's another thing that to notice there, that abortion has been introduced. So there's no marriage. Then abortion has been introduced. So that is, he's saying, oh, she didn't get, she had an option. So she didn't do it. And so once abortion is introduced, then men are feeling like, well, it's on her if she gets pregnant. And then the third thing he mentioned, the government. So you put all these things together, you have a weak man who do not care. And the reason why he said he says he feels bad, but he doesn't do anything about, and he's like this because he can, because it's possible. And you have a society where these kind of things are not easily, I mean, it are not possible. You have a society where people have to get married, have to stay together. They're more responsible. The both women for definitely will be thinking a lot harder before having sex with somebody, if life after getting pregnant would be awful for them. And that has been like that historically.
How do we fix it? How do we fix this? I want to start with you, T.
We have to, just like they're going after the children, we have to go after the children and provide examples of what it looks like to have a clean life of fun. We still can have fun, but how to live in or create a society or a family of standards, of high standards. And what that looks like. We need more examples of that, because right now they're winning.
What about you, Courtney? How do we fix it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that it is through our children. Again, like I said, with my situation, it is not the idea. And I pray to God that my daughter doesn't end up a single mother. So I tell her, I make sure do you see me out here taking out the trash? This is garbage, literally. I know this is a man's job. Do you see me having to go get my car fixed and spending money on something that a man is supposed to take care of? Garbage. So I literally show her the things that I shouldn't be doing, and that's what stresses me out sometimes. And I hear her stories. She doesn't want the back and forth. Like, I have 50-50, but do you know how stressful that is on a 7-year-old to have to go back? She needs one home, one room, one closet. And it's hurtful as a parent to be, to hear, mommy, I don't want to, it's hard. So, but I speak up about it. And I say, you don't understand what it looks like when you're raising a daughter and to not have a man there to give her identity 24/7. 50 is cool, but she needs that every single day. So I try to instill on her where I got it wrong so she doesn't make those same mistakes. I speak up as well per platform, or if I see little girls in my family, this ain't the way. And then I also support morality in our culture. I lend my money and my support to anyone that is representing what we need to be, and that's bringing some more traditional values back. It's bringing morale back. It's bringing family back. It's looking at Sam, whatever his little raggedy name is, on the Grammys and be like, you are not the standard. You're actually disgusting.
Let me ask you, so you mentioned some things, traditional values. Should we be talking more about marriage, no sex before marriage? Should we be talking about marriage in general, being married before you courtship and things like that? Or is that just something you guys think is just totally, no way is going to be able to do that?
Well, I know. I'm sorry, T. Go ahead.
Whenever I talk to my children, because we do talk about, my next generation and, them having children and stuff like that. I always mention your husband. I always mention, when you get married first. So now they're talking, well, when I get married, this is it. So now they know that this is the order. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby, and baby carriage.
Yeah, there has to be a context. You're right, T. I talk to my daughter like that. Like when you get married, and this is what you're supposed to do. These are things you're not going to do, or you shouldn't do. Courtney, I appreciate your story. It's beautiful. I like what you're saying, but I also want to add, what you're saying is be authentic. We have to be authentic. We have to be real with our children. KJ, you asked how we fixed it. I'm going to quote Delano Squires. We need healing. We need healing in our community. Black men, Black women, we need healing in our relationships, and we need healing individually. We need that. And I don't think
what's that look like?
What does it look like? Well, I'll quote what he was saying. I'm not paraphrasing. He's talking about from a biblical framework. No, seriously, a biblical or at least a traditional worldview or Judeo-Christian values. If you're not a Christian, whatever. But we do need those things. Everything that everyone has said, we have to keep talking about those things. Put them in the context, because we do have another generation that's coming behind us. And what are we going to leave them?
Yeah.
Is the answer though, because right now we have a situation, especially on social media and things like that, where we have this, the manosphere, who it kind of seems like blame women, and then you have the feminists who are blaming men. So do you guys think that dynamic is helpful, or should we be looking at both men and women? What are your thoughts there?
I think there is enough blame to go around. I think that cake is big enough for everybody to take their slice and own their share. I think last week when we talked about having those tough conversations when it comes to marriage and what marriage looks like and all of those things. And I think this is also another one of those tough conversations that we need to have as a community. Like, listen, just because you grew up with a single mother doesn't mean that you want to be a single mother. And I think sometimes when you look at what mothers did, the children didn't go missing anything. So it looked easy to the children because they didn't miss anything. I had food, I had clothes, my mom, I went on the field trips, I did all the things. And so they don't see the missing link. But I think it's on the single mothers to say, listen, I held it down, but I would have preferred to have a partner. I would have preferred to not have to do it all. I would prefer, to let me just do the PTA. I couldn't do PTA because I had to do the work. I had to go to work because I had to pay bills. And so I think that those conversations and those coming to Jesus moments, and even moments like this where, we all have different opinions, but we can glean from them. And when you have someone saying, hey, I'm a single mother, and every time I got to take out the trash, I'm a single person, and I get mad every time I have to take out the trash. I try to teach my dog how to take the trash out because it's
get you a solid husband up in that house. You ain't got to do that.
Baby, listen, I try to teach the dog how to take the trash out because I'm sick of it.
Teach him. But the culture is not pushing this. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the new show Harlem with Megan Good. Oh, it is disgusting. But they're teaching like single Black woman or single Black mothers, independent Black woman. This is powerful. We're strong. This is sexy. Sleep with as many men as you want. This is your power. I mean, you have people like Amber Rose who are glorifying promiscuity
Slut walk.
the slut walk and things like that. How do we combat that?
I think we have to we can't have a culture where it looks like marriage is a death sentence. I
Right.
think sometimes people, the way that they portray their marriage don't look fun and appetizing. It don't look like it's something I want to do. Like, and so you have to you got to give me something to look forward to. And I mean, and to be honest with you, you can't even put sex in that, because sex is, you can get sex anywhere, and for free or for pay. So you have
Or
to
from a plastic.
or from or plastic or silicone or latex, whatever your choice. But I think that you have to give them something to aspire to. And unfortunately, most people, it looks like, and you see married couples, and married couples aren't happy. But the single people, they living their best life. They done went to Jamaica, they done been here, they done been there, they done been everywhere, and did everything and did all the things. But married people are sitting around in moo-moos talking about they make me a sandwich and that's all, and we gonna sit here and watch The Price is Right. So I think that we have to make marriage look like it's something that you would actually enjoy and aspire to do. Because if we don't, people are just I'm 35 and I'm single, and while you're single, have fun. Now I ain't saying go sleep with everybody like they was doing on Harlem, but enjoy your singleness. I don't have any. I got a dog. I got a dog. She got a wardrobe. That's my child. I do not have any biological children, but I got 9 nieces and nephews that make sure I stay broke. And so because of that, because I refused, and I always said I'm never going to be a baby mama. I will be a wife and a mother, but I never want to be a baby mama. And that is where I'm standing now. I'm 35, and we'll see what happens in the next 5 years. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to live my life, and I'm not going to live and be a hoe, but I aspire to be someone's. I'm a wife as myself, as a single person. I aspire to be someone's wife. And you don't show up and get married and become a wife. What people have to realize is, you a wife before you say the I do. And we have to get back to teaching those things, because those are the missing pieces of etiquette, the missing pieces of, of the good, bad, and ugly of life and relationships. We got to get back to having those tough conversations and those.
You bring up a good
So
point.
there's nothing wrong with if somebody wants to be a single person, a single woman, there's nothing wrong with that. But when there's a child involved, that's a difference. So a single mother is different than a single woman. So
but
and
that's why
once
if
you
you
have
want to be single,
once
don't
you
have
have sex and you get pregnant when you're not married, then this child is, you're taking this child's opportunity to have a full family, by doing that. So that's the difference. So absolutely,
right.
Women,
And that's about being responsible.
Yeah.
Like I am a single person and not a single mother, because I made that choice.
But I want to get back to something you said about the idea of married couples. And because we talked about this last week with Lala, Carmela, and Lala Anthony came on and said, marriage is on a decline, and most of the married people she know are unhappy. And I think, I'm not sure if that's true. Number one, we have a culture that pushes singledom. You don't see nowadays, you don't even see movies. Most of the movies and the TV shows are all about single ladies, girlfriends hanging out, not really, romances or married couples. Two, most married couples, it's a situation where you're talking to your husband or you're talking to your wife, and it's kind of personal. So a lot of times, what you'll find, I'm married, and you'll talk with other married couples who are like-minded, but with your girlfriends, because I do have a lot of single girlfriends. It's a situation where you may not talk up to them about the things that are going on in your marriage, because it's just something you don't do. So that's the thing. I think marriage gets a really bad rap, and I don't think that's necessarily the case in general. I know a lot of happy married couples.
But you were happy
they
married
want to
couple,
marry,
KJ.
because we've gotten the notion that we're supposed to marry for love, and marrying for love will get you messed up most times, because it's not, marriage isn't about love. Love comes. That'll come once you have the respect and adoration and the protection and the security and the stability that you're supposed to have within the marriage. But that comes. And we getting married for love is a distraction to building and becoming a better person with that. The commitment to each other.
Is
T my sister? Yeah, we related.
We already talked about this. You two are probably identical, one from the other. Yeah.
Is we related?
Yeah.
Probably.
There's a girl right there. But I want to talk about that.
I'm understanding what's being
said. Is this something that you guys agree with, that you don't marry for love?
Yes. I just want to make sure I'm understanding the context. So you're saying that I meet the person, I'm supposed to like them a little bit, and then I marry them and I'll fall in love with them eventually? Is that
that's what they call arranged marriages?
That's what they call
something like that.
No, but I think what T is saying. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, T.
I can speak for myself. What I'm saying is,
you meet sassy about it.
You meet someone. Shelly, come on. You meet someone, and you have conversations, and you date, and then you court, because you realize, oh, this person can, as a man, I have, this thing I'm doing, of visions and goals, and you meet a woman that can supplement or complement that in whatever she's doing, and you agree to build together through marriage and have children through marriage. Love will come.
So what you're saying is you marry for purpose?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. But wait a minute. I want to add to that.
I said what I said, though. I said what I said.
But this idea that love will come, the love actually is the commitment itself and going through whatever over the long term. The love is really the action. In today's climate, we seem to think that love is, Google eyes, Google eyes, whatever. Now that's like a part of it, but that's the very small part. The real part is the action over time, usually, hopefully, a long time, particularly when you're talking about marriage. There are times I've been married almost 25 years. There are times when I do not feel like I love my husband, and he probably feel the same about me, even more. I don't know, but it's not a feeling. I mean, look, I think I was talking to KJ earlier. Remember Michelle Obama a few weeks ago said that there were times she didn't love or like Obama or whatever. I knew exactly what she meant, and I can't stand Michelle Obama, but I knew exactly what she meant. There are times when you feel like that, and so it's not just a feeling.
Yeah, my perspective is, let me just say this real quick. I feel like it's not so much about love. It's about friendship and respect, because that is what really gets you through. I in my opinion, when times where you may be upset with your husband or wife, or you may not like them. But what we have going on now is these people are, one, sleeping with each other right away and getting so caught up in the sex, you don't even have time to get to know this person. And so by the time you're in love with them, you think you're in love with them, sex is good, and then you get married, or you stay together for a while, and then you realize, I don't like this person. This person I don't get along with this person. We don't have anything in common, really, because you've only really met them on the surface. There's no respect there. You're busy, taking their semen in your mouth instead of really, getting to know the person and speaking to them.
Yes,
that's unfiltered.
You swallow in the mouth. That's what you're getting. That's okay. If you want to have kids, then swallow them. That's the kids you want to have.
I mean, they wouldn't get pregnant.
They would not.
No single
moms can swallow.
Decisions have to be made here, people. Decisions have to be made here. You won't be a single mother if you swallow.
Decisions that messes up the real part of the courtship and the real part of getting to know somebody.
That's gonna be a clip.
This is what happened. And then by the time you go 20 years down the line, you're like, I can't stand this person. You know, I don't like this person. I don't respect this person. You know, I did date him in the beginning because, you know, she was giving me, you know, good head or whatever you want to talk to it. And now that stuff gets old.
Yeah.
That's how
But that's the thing. I'm saying we collectively, we have lost that. We don't really know how to court. We don't. I mean, it's like a lost art or whatever. And a lot of people are, like you said, caught up in the wrong things or the wrong aspect of what really marriage really is.
I just want to say, Shelly, one of the things that you said that was so profound is, you know what? You're a married woman and you be like, you know what? There are times when I really don't like my husband. And I think that if more married women had those conversations with single people, they would go into it knowing that there are ebbs and flows to relationships. Because what happens is I love you today, but then when I wake up tomorrow and I don't love you, instead of me riding the wave of those emotions, I cut bait and run. So you saying that as a married woman and saying, hey, listen, some days I love him today, but I don't really like that Negro. Or whatever the case may be, saying that and having those conversations with people who are in the dating, courting process, and even, you know, having those tough conversations and being that village and saying that's profound. Because now you know.
You may not like him for years.
I agree.
Because when you think about a marriage, you really get down into it. You're supposed to be married for a lifetime. So when you think over a lifetime, you may go a year or two and not and have an issue with your spouse. But when you think of it over the lifetime, that's what you're in it for. But see, people are not in it for the lifetime anymore.
They're in it for the
feeling. To comment on T when what she said about the love, like love is people should not marry for love. I think people are confusing love with like initial sexual attraction. So a lot of people, you know, when they, especially, you know, we're very young and we're just starting to, and also we're not taught properly about what is marriage, what is real responsibility. All we know is like romance and falling in love and having that attraction. So when we feel that, immediately we say, oh, I'm in love. And so because I'm in love, I should be with this person and I should marry this person. And so that where people make the mistakes, because they just think that's all that's needed to have the marriage work. And then they don't think about the responsibility, the duty, the commitment that is a lifetime commitment. You know, they're not thinking about that. All of it is like this you know, romance movie that people are living in, and so that's where we fall short.
Well, I can say this. I can say maybe I don't take out the garbage. I don't lift a finger to take out the garbage. So Courtney, when you say I'm not bragging. I don't take out the garbage. Now I will.
You didn't.
You're right, but I don't take it for granted either. But I will cook all day long. I don't have a problem. Cook, fix plates, and whatever. He packs his lunch. He takes it to work. People at work talk about how I cook good. No, I don't care, but I'm not taking out no garbage.
Wait, so Shelly,
have they tasted the food that he brings?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll cook enough. Sometimes I'll cook certain things and let them share with his coworkers.
No, I'll have
girl, you better have a tip jar with them so they can make a donation.
Shelly, you mean to tell me that there's a such thing as gender roles in a marriage?
Of course.
You gonna be
canceled. Of course. And of course, and that's how. Yeah, I don't. What's wrong with that? I'm a female. I don't mind. Well, I don't mind cooking, and I can honestly say that I can cook. But aside from that, my husband doesn't complain about. He doesn't even complain about what I cook. All he wants to know is I cook something. He don't care. He doesn't care. But I don't take garbage out. I haven't taken the garbage out. Oh my gosh, it's been I don't know how many years. I think I did that when he was sick one time. But other than that, I don't shovel snow. Now I have taken coffee and tea out to the guys out shoveling the snow to get us out when we had those blizzards. But I didn't lift a finger. I made some sandwiches and some hot coffee and tea and took it out there to them. I didn't lift a finger, and I didn't intend to lift a finger.
All right, you guys. Well, we at the end of our time. I want to get.
So, and I guess that's what love is. I guess, but
that is
love is not taking out the trash. Okay.
I want to get final thoughts from you all. I mean, the topic is single motherhood, causes and effects of it. What are some final thoughts you'd like to leave with the audience on this topic? How can we move forward? I want to start with you, Yana.
Wow. Well, don't look at celebrities. Stay away from pop culture. If possible, stay away from public schools. So stay away from anything that the government is trying to push on you. Really, we need to create a new culture, a new kind of society.
All right. Kendra, final thoughts on single motherhood.
I think having these conversations like this and having open and honest conversations is where the change will begin. Because even if you don't agree, I think that seeds are always sown in this space and in these conversations to give you food for thought for later. So, I'm not a part of the Single Mothers Club, but I think that as a single woman who aspires to be married and to be a mother, I think these conversations are a necessary voice for the time.
All right, Shelly.
How do we move on? Is that the question?
Yes. What would you like to leave the audience with final thoughts on this topic?
I'm going to say to Kendra's point and to Courtney's point, I'm going to say be authentic, be who you are, be honest with who you are. Just, I don't know, have the conversations, be real, men and women, be real with each other. Be real with it. I mean, don't mislead people. Just be real. And then you will be able to see, okay, well, maybe this is something I can live with this, or I'm not who he needs, or vice versa. Don't use people.
What about you, T? Final thoughts on single motherhood.
Single motherhood. Before you become mothers, as we're dating, I think that we should keep in our mind the mentality that all men are good, or all men want to be good, and approach dating from that perspective, we'd see how men are good, and we see how they appreciate women being women, and they will step up once they see that you're not competition or a challenge. They'll step up. Well, in my experience, and just from a mentality, all men are good. Period.
Final thoughts, Courtney. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, our crazy crew.
I had a ball.
Oh, good.
I had an absolute ball. First, thank you for inviting me. I hope you invite me again, because I'm going to come and show up. But I thought all our topics that we discussed was absolutely good. And even with the single mothers, I think it all goes, the one common theme that I'm seeing is the mind state and your mind frame. And it's how you go into it. If you go in it being defeated, you're going to be defeated.
Right.
And as a woman, I wish that that I was taught a lot more than stay in there. You got it. Y'all sad and you don't feel it no more. That don't mean you leave. And I think, Kendra, you talked about that. I think if more married women would say, it might be in 5 years, it might be hard, but this is a forever thing, and stay in it, because your purpose, you were created to be a wife and to be a mother. Your whole entire body was made for a baby and a man. Hello. So this is your purpose, and you can't give up on your purpose. And this is what you're supposed to, even when it gets hard, don't run. So it's changing of the mind. But we have to support that. And we need people like you, KJ, like Kendra, Yanni, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sorry, Shelly, T, to be a face now. You have a platform, and we have to change the image of what we're supposed to be doing. Because right now the image is absolutely chaotic. It's hell on the way to hell.
Literally.
And so we need faces that trying to change the status quo. And I appreciate all of you ladies. I think this was awesome. And like I had a ball.
Oh, good.
Oh,
well, we certainly thank you for joining us. again, well, last thoughts for me, I would say know your worth, know your value. And similarly what T said, if you know your worth and you know how you are valued, then you are going to connect and join with a man of that same value and that same worth. And I think it's important to be on the same page spiritually. That's a big thing for me, in my marriage. But I really think we just need to know our worth, and that worth in our body means something. A lot of times, and I've talked about this on my other show, we have this idea. We're in a constant state right now of a devaluation of the body. And we're seeing that with abortion, with all this plastic surgery, with this whole trans movement. It's all about the destruction of the body. And our bodies were made with a purpose. Sexually, our bodies were made with a purpose by God, and we need to understand that and know that worth, and then join with someone of the same mindset, and hopefully in marriage, so we can create a generation. We can change what's going on now, because everybody has said, this is sickness that's going on. We're being infested with just perverse sickness, and we need it to stop. So this brings us to the end of our show. Thank you so much for watching. Please continue the conversation by checking us out on YouTube at Pop in Politics. Also, of course, we have Courtney Michelle. You can check out her YouTube page. I am Courtney Michelle. Definitely check her out there. Great content. I am CourtneyMichelle.com. What were you saying? Oh, I'm sorry.
I want you over on my page. I want all of you over.
Oh, really?
I got an idea, and I want you all over. So y'all need to stay on here when we close.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So again, you can check us out on our webpage, www.popandpoliticslive.com. We appreciate the support. Again, we are an independent media, and each time you subscribe, it helps make our voice that much stronger. We've been talking about this throughout the program. You have to support independent media, value-driven, traditional value-driven media, and that's what we are. So certainly subscribe.
Again, and we cute too. So
yes, we are. So again, we look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
bye.